888, the Ocho, 8 stories. Here we go.
One.
All right, let's start with the Astros. Let's start with the off-the-field news, and that's Framber Valdez. He will be headed to the injured list with left elbow inflammation. It'll be at least 15 days. We'll see where this goes. I still don't feel great about it. I don't like the word forearm being mixed into some of the reports as well, because that's always feels like a red flag for UCL ligament damage of some sort. Joe Espada said that Framber will be shut down for a few days while the inflammation subsides. That's where we are right now.
Inflammation is that, inflammation is a worse word than soreness. Even though soreness comes from inflammation, it's just there's a difference there.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Inflammation would be pretty bad. If he had said tender, I would have felt better.
Okay.
If he had said elbow
discomfort.
pain.
Remember, discomfort was the big one they used for a long time.
That's true. Discomfort was a euphemism for a torn UCL.
Yeah.
So I guess there's almost no word that would actually make me feel okay about this. It's just inflammation does feel worse than even discomfort or soreness. Yeah, if discomfort is what they use to describe a torn UCL, then inflammation does not make me feel any better.
Right. Spencer Arrighetti, the Astros' best pitcher in their minor league system, will make his major league debut tonight. I wish it wasn't under these circumstances because I love Framber Valdez, but I'm excited to watch Spencer Arrighetti. Joe Espada last night on Spencer Arrighetti.
Yes, he's going to be starting the game tomorrow. Plus, we've gone through our pitching here the last week, so we want to make sure that we protect some of these guys. And having Arrighetti here tomorrow will allow us to push everyone back a day and protect some of our young starters that we're going to need them for a long season.
So Hunter will go Thursday and JP will go Friday?
Yeah, everybody will get pushed back Monday.
Put aside for a second the fact that Ronel Blanco has been amazing in his 2 starts, Seth. Just put that aside because thank God he's been amazing in those 2 starts. They're 4-8, and where would they be without Ronel Blanco? But we're 12 games in. By tonight, it'll be 13 games, and a third of their games will have been started by Ronel Blanco, Blair Henley, and Spencer Arrighetti.
Wow.
We're not even half a month into the season.
Yeah.
The bad kind. But I am excited to see Spencer Arrighetti tonight, man. Hope they can give him a little something.
He's on full rest. He's the top pitching prospect in the organization, and you just cross your fingers and hope that you've got another one of these, yet another pitching prospect for the Astros that comes up and kind of exceeds expectations.
Yeah.
Not that expectations are low or anything, but this is just not. These are not ideal circumstances for anybody right now.
Now, he's not from the Dominican Republic or anything like that, like some of these other prospects the Astros have been able to find on the margins. He went to Cinco Ranch. So not totally the same background, but hopefully.
Are we at the point now where we're starting to treat we've been so spoiled by our Latin American players that now we're starting to treat any Americans like white centers in the NBA.
A little bit.
We're like, oh, great, he's an American-born white center.
A little bit.
Great.
Maybe
I'm sure he's going to tear it up.
Subconsciously, yes. Apparently, that's exactly what I'm doing subconsciously.
Put a 7'2" dude off of a cul-de-sac somewhere.
It.
Let's go get his ass beat by somebody who's seen actual war.
That's right.
Yeah. Great.
2.
All right, the actual game itself last night, that was not fun either. The Astros had 3-0 lead early in the game. That was it. That's all they were going to get was 3 runs. The Royals come back, win 4-3 in 10 innings. Here's what the walk-off sounded like.
Ball drilled to left center field. This game will be over. Salvador Perez flips the bat away on an 0-1 pitch. Ends the game here in the bottom half of the 10th inning, 4-3. The Royals have won 5 in a row as they come from behind tonight, down 3-0 to win it in 10, 4-3.
So Salvador Perez with, literally the second pitch of the bottom of the 10th inning, game over. As far as things last night, Seth, the bullpen had another good outing. I know it was, they had a rando in there in the 10th inning. But the bullpen, by and large, very good after Javier came out in the 6th inning. Jordan is wrecking shop right now. Some of these other guys need to start stepping up in this lineup, and I don't know what they're going to do at first base. I don't know. It's the pitcher's spot.
It's absolutely. They pinch hit Singleton for Dubon because, theoretically Singleton, I guess they think is better against righties than Dubon, but he's not. And he's not good against anybody.
Right.
I don't think there's no argument for Singleton. I don't and I feel like I'm not trying to be mean to Singleton here or anything. He's a 150 hitter.
Yeah.
You know, like the matchup just doesn't matter.
Right.
There's almost no matchup for anybody other than Jose Abreu where you can make a justification for putting him out there versus a guy like Dubon. The disrespect they showed. Honestly, there's times where I'm just like, you know what, Dubon? Go get that $25 million somewhere else.
He's going to have to wait a little while.
My God. Go get that $30 million per year, man.
Yeah,
you deserve
man.
it.
Go get
They're
that
going to disrespect you like this.
Go get that cheddar. All right.
Do it.
They're back at it. Royals and Astros back at it tonight in Kansas City. Eric Getty, again, on the mound for the Astros.
3.
The Rockets won their home finale last night against the Orlando Magic. Orlando, for people who maybe haven't been following it, Orlando, pretty good team this year. The Rockets beat them 118-106. They're 39-40 on the season, so still a decent shot at finishing at or above 500. 3 games to go. 2 against Utah and Portland, very winnable games, and then they finish the season against the Clippers. We'll see. Maybe the Clippers are resting guys. Who knows? But the Rockets, if we're looking at signs of progress this season for the Rockets, Seth, I think 2 things. 1, they finished 27-14 at home. That's really, really good. That's a good, solid home record for such a young team. Number 2, they seem to be getting guys ejected from games on the regular for getting chippy.
Yeah.
And I like it, and Ime Udoka likes it.
Udoka's unapologetic about
Cam
it.
Whitmore last night. It was Cam Whitmore last night. It was Amen Thompson the game before.
Amen Thompson, it was more like he was giving him fighting tips more so than an admonition.
You should have shoved him lower.
Admonishment,
yeah.
He was just...
How can you not love Ime Udoka, man? I love that.
I like the grit.
Yeah.
I like the grind,
Yep.
Sean.
Yep.
They got it's going to be a gritty bunch, damn it. Udoka, I think, has maybe that same quality. He's like more openly hard-edged than D'Amico, but I think both of them have an ability to connect with players that they accept it. You know, like I think sometimes people are too quick to assume that Gen Z can't accept hard coaching or can't accept criticism or what have you. And aside from like the hazards of making sweeping generalizations about any group of people, there's also that I think even like your prototypical Gen Zers, when it comes from somebody that they feel has their best interest in mind and like has formed a connection with them, they can take it just fine.
Yep.
And I think Udoka and D'Amico are both that way.
I agree.
4.
All right, to the National Football League we go. Actually, the NFL Draft. Tavondre Sweat, Texas Longhorn defensive lineman, who was arrested on Sunday afternoon for DWI on a traffic incident that took place early Sunday morning, 4:41 a.m. More information now coming out about his arrest and the actual traffic incident itself. Tavondre Sweat did register a .105 blood alcohol content. That's about 25% above the legal limit here in the state of Texas. The police affidavit indicated that there was a, quote, strong odor of alcohol coming from Tavondre Sweat and that he was swaying while they were apprehending him. Police arrived at 4:41 a.m. Sweat took the blood alcohol content test about 90 minutes after that. So we're, more information now. The more that comes out, the worse it is for Tavondre Sweat. Clearly, this appears to be an incident where not only were you driving while intoxicated, but you got involved in a crash as well. There's another car involved in this. I don't think I mentioned that. There was a crash between Sweat's SUV and another sedan. So the information gets worse and worse for Tavondre Sweat.
Well, and I think for some people who might say, well, maybe it was just one mistake or a one-off incident. That theoretically could be the case, except it's also been reported that Tavondre Sweat has addressed with teams his partying history, that he's changed his ways, and that there's enough at least that there's a history here. So this is something that could easily tip or sway some teams. Because the other side of it with Tavondre Sweat is just teams are concerned about whether he's going to be able to manage his weight appropriately. I'll tell you honestly, I like Tavondre Sweat a lot. I've watched a lot of him. And just after like the sum total of everything I've watched, there's no part of me that thinks he needs to play at 365 in the modern NFL. I think he needs to weigh 345 at most. And he could be awesome. Like if he genuinely wants to be great, he needs to lose weight. And based on what he said at the Combine, he has no interest in doing that. He doesn't seem to be interested in really proving to teams that his hard partying isn't an issue anymore. So it's going to knock him down the board a little bit. Somebody will take him. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to get canceled or anything. It's just going to knock him down the board.
Yep.
5.
Cougs are kind of running it back with their basketball team, man. LJ Cryer announcing yesterday on social media that he's going to take a 5th year. He, of course, Baylor 3 years. Then with the Cougs last year, transfers from Baylor to U of H. He's got an extra year because of COVID. I think we're starting to get into the era of guys. This is the last year of guys having COVID years here, I think.
The last year of guys having a 5th year.
Yeah.
For 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be winding down. But Cryer's one of them, and he is going to take that season and play for the Cougs. And man, they're bringing back Roberts, they're bringing back Emmanuel Sharp, they're bringing back Francis. Nothing on Jamal Shedd. It seems like everything about Jamal Shedd is people are assuming he's going pro, but he's got a COVID year too. I think he can take if he wants to.
And he's not projected to be a super high pick or anything.
He's not. Some of the drafts I've looked at, he's not even drafted. Which I mean, he's one of those guys that is a phenomenal college basketball player that may just not have, for the position he's playing, might not have that knockdown shot even as a point guard.
I wonder how the U of H NIL money is compared to some of the blue blood programs.
Yeah,
that's got to be. I would imagine it varies just like it does in football, but especially in basketball, perhaps some of those. Especially the schools that are blue blood, but also bigger schools or affluent schools like Duke, obviously.
Yep.
I'm guessing the NIL isn't as tempting to stay in school for Houston as it is a lot of the other places.
I know because Suit Mart is in on NIL with Houston. Suit Mart gets suits for the guys to travel on the road with. They're very involved in Houston's NIL. I do know, man, they treat it very seriously. They've got a point of contact for it. Yeah. They vet a lot of the companies that are working with the players and things like that. So they take it.
It's not nothing.
It's not it's
certainly
right.
not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
It's not nothing. There you go.
6.
Jacoby Jones. I got this press release yesterday, Seth. I think I forwarded it to you. It was one of those headlines where if it happened on April the 1st, I would have been like, okay, hang on a second here. Former Texan star Jacoby Jones named offensive coordinator of Beaumont Renegades expansion franchise.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's
offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator.
Okay, that part's especially intriguing.
That's the April Fool's part for me. Yeah, okay, come on now.
I don't know. The whole thing is that we don't know exactly what Jacoby's been up to since he finished playing. And also, I think some people's perception of Jacoby Jones has always been based on a couple things. One are some of the curious things he did in games. But that's not, you don't actually have to feel the kick as a coach. And the other would be just somebody like his goofy demeanor and what have you.
Yeah.
They might not look at him as coaching material, but he's probably spent time learning how to coach over the last few years.
He's been coaching. I'm glad you said that. So anyways, this team, he's been coaching at his alma mater, Lane College, the last couple of years. He's been coaching wide receivers. This is the American Indoor Football League, and it's got teams in Flint, Michigan, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Cedar Rapids, Amarillo, Columbus, Mississippi.
It's every bit as glamorous as I thought it would be.
Dude, these are some big-time major metro areas here. But the Beaumont Renegades, man, Jacoby Jones is going to be the offensive coordinator. You know what? It doesn't start till 2025, spring of 2025. I am going to make a point next year. Ben, remind me, next year, a year from now, I'm going to go to a Beaumont Renegades game so I can critique Jacoby Jones' offensive style in the American Indoor Football League.
That'll be. Are you going to get a Beaumont Renegades championship belt?
Hell yeah, I am.
Championship
yes,
belt?
I am. Well, we'll see. I'm going to see how good they are first. I don't want to wear the.
We had Jacoby Jones in studio when he was in town for a flag football game of some sort.
Okay. He's great. It's a great interview.
No, he really is, and I think he's one of those guys that sometimes the outlandish stuff he says gets way more press, but he's actually got some stuff between those two ears that actually knows what it's doing.
No, he does.
He's just an interesting dude, you know.
He does for sure.
7.
Final viewership numbers are in. This is a big story yesterday. The women's basketball final, college basketball final, on Sunday afternoon between Iowa and South Carolina did nearly 19 million viewers. The men's numbers came in yesterday, Seth, a shade under 15 million viewers. So the women...
What in the USMNT is this all about?
Viewership.
What the hell?
Now, several folks pointed out who wanted to make sure that the men's final ratings got their due. I don't have a dog. I'm a man, but I don't really have a dog in the fight in this ratings battle. It is funny how worked up some people get about it.
People go all Bobby Riggs on this thing. Yeah, what is it?
A little, and the point about start time, I think, is fair. I don't know why the men start this thing at 9:40 Eastern time on a Monday night. The women are in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. But to me, the big story here is, okay, women's basketball had by far its best viewership postseason ever.
Yeah.
It had a better viewership postseason than the NBA did on a game-by-game basis.
Right.
How many of these people are watching for Caitlin Clark, and how much are people going to stick around next year?
Well, I think that, regardless, it's unlikely that they'll be as high next year because, there is a huge Caitlin Clark factor there. But I do think, the general lesson probably to take from it is that something that women's basketball has going for it that men's doesn't is that, look, the very best player in women's basketball was there for multiple years.
Yes.
And had time to form a base, and people got excited and enthused about it. It's not like if Caitlin Clark had showed up as a sophomore and then was gone the next year, obviously there wouldn't be the same effect, with Iowa basketball. And I guess that's really the difference there. I mean, it's going to happen with multiple different sports. The ones that don't retain the better players for multiple years just aren't going to be as intriguing to people. There's no time for a storyline to build.
The faces of the men's tournament are coaches. The faces of the women's tournament are players. That's a great point. Yep.
The biggest face amongst the players was a Canadian that we'd all just learned of.
7'4" Canadian. Yeah. Last one, as I wear my Texans WWE Championship belt around my waist, as we're talking about viewership numbers, WWE set a record with WrestleMania 40. Selfishly, I'm sharing these numbers with all the people that tweet at me like, it's fake, right? I can't believe an adult watches this stuff. There were lots of adults that watched it. 660 million views on social media over the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, for WrestleMania. Seth, their YouTube channel, WWE's YouTube channel, had 67 million views in 24 hours over the weekend.
Wow.
2-day live attendance at the Link in Philadelphia, 148,298 for a total gate of over $30 million.
So it goes on for 2 days.
WrestleMania is a 2-day thing, Saturday and Sunday.
How long are each of the sessions?
About three hours-ish.
3 hours?
Yeah.
So you get 6 hours of pro. That's a lot of intensity, man.
Dude, for a while, for the longest, it was like a 3.5 hour event. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, by about 10 years ago, it morphed into where it was 5 or 6 hours long, including the pre-show. And by the main event, and I went to a few of those, by the main event, people are just tapped. They're tired.
Right, yeah. They start there screaming, and you can only do so much of that.
Yeah, so you're just out of it. So they just said, you know what? It's our biggest event. We're just going to split it into 2 days, which is smart. Because now you're getting twice the gate.
And then after that first night, I'm sure they have all kinds of events and autograph signings and everything. I bet the retired wrestlers love it, right?
Yeah, dude,
you got
it's a
diehard
huge
people in there for town, and they're going to be there the next night, too.
They have a big fan fest that lasts for 4 days where these guys come in and they sign autographs and take pictures. It's a big payday for these retired guys, absolutely.